Hi there guys, it's Adam Martin here, and welcome back to another installment of the Now Review. And this time, we're returning to the 1980s and specifically the realm of 12-inch single releases, for I have for you today, Now 12-inch 80s 1982, Part 2. Yes, this is part 2 of a release solely focusing on the year 1982. It was a bit of a surprise when they announced it that this was going to be split into 2 parts, implying that 1982 simply had so many good 12-inch single edits they couldn't contain it all on one album, hence why we have part 2. So going off the cover, you can see the logo-wise is keeping the same style that all of these have had. I always like the fact that the year present there is shown as like a old school digital clock that just feels very of the time but also feels very retro, very nostalgic. I like it there. The colours compared to part 1 of 1982, they've basically just inverted them. If you compare and contrast the 2 covers, it's the same colour scheme roughly, just slightly inverted, which I think works. I think that's a good way to summarise the 2 parts that this year has to offer. You can see the little equalizer symbol at the bottom left that has been present on all of these 12-inch 80s releases ever since the first one, and right there in the bottom right corner you can see the words Part 2, which from a distance, if your eyesight's not too good like mine, you may mistake this for Part 1, but you know, just make sure you double check and have a read. Just looking at the spine, here is the spine for you, and as you can see it's very typical Now fare, except for the Part 2 towards the bottom there, which is in a nice yellow. I think that stands out well, stands out nicely compared to the main text. I do like how the 1982 is still styled in that digital clock font though, as opposed to just going down to a regular font. But let's flip this on over and take a look at that all-important track list. So CD1 kicks off with Wham and Young Guns, Go For It, the 12-inch mix. You'll find me saying 12-inch mix a lot because that's the whole premise of the album, so if it is just a 12-inch mix or version, I won't mention that subtitle. You have Duran Duran with Hungry Like the Wolf, the night version, Spandau Ballet with Lifeline, Haircut 100 with Love Plus One, Thompson Twins with In the Name of Love, the dance extension, A Flock of Seagulls, I Ran So Far Away, brilliant tune, especially from the early 80s, and that is the full-length version. Soft Cell with Torch, the extended version. Visage with Night Train, the dance mix. European Sun, the 1982 remix. Talk Talk with Today, the extended mix. Simple Minds and Promised You a Miracle, the US remix. And Let Me Go by Heaven 17, so 12 tracks there. Always less tracks per disc on this one because being the nature of 12-inch 80s, they are longer mixes ranging from say 5 minutes or upwards to 8, 9, 10 minutes, so always less tracks, but that's 12 there. CD2 begins with Madness and Our House, Funboy 3 and The Telephone Always Rings, UB40 with So Here I Am, Musical Youth with Youth of Today, Junior with Mama Used to Say, the American remix, Shack Attack with Nightbirds, the full-length version, Monsoon with Ever So Lonely, Imagination with Music and Lights, David Christie with Saddle Up, Modern Romance with Queen of the Rapping Scene, Nothing Ever Goes the Way You Plan, Hazy Fantasy with Holy Joe, Blondie with Island of Lost Souls, the album version. I wonder how long the album version is then. And Gumbay Dance Band with 7 Tears. So 13 tracks there, up to 25. CD3 begins with Kool and the Gang and Get Down on It, the original 12-inch extended version. Shalamar with There It Is, Evelyn Champagne King with Love Come Down, Aretha Franklin with Jump to It, Associates with Love Hangover, Thomas Dolby with She Blinded Me with Science, brilliant quirky tune, big fan of that. Classics Nirvana, is that how you say that, with Is It a Dream, Blue Zoo with Cry Boy Cry, The Mood with Don't Stop, Blancmange with Feel Me, Visage with Pleasure Boys, and Simple Minds with Glittering Prize. Another 12 tracks there, we're up to 37, and last but not least, we have CD4, kicking off with ABC and Poison Arrow, the jazz mix. Love Poison Arrow, I hope the jazz mix lives up to it. Haircut 100 with Nobody's Fool, Culture Club with White Boy, Bananarama with Funboy 3 and Really Saying Something, Bow Wow Wow with I Want Candy, Altered Images with Pinky Blue, Daryl Hall and John Oates with Maneater, Blondie and War Child, Duran Duran with Hold Back the Rain, the Carnival remix, Spandau Ballet with She Loved Like Diamond, China Crisis with African and White, and Soft Cell with Say Hello, Wave Goodbye. So another 12 tracks there, which means across the 4 discs we have 49, yes, count them, 49 12-inch tracks. I'll give my thoughts on that track list in just a wee second, but let's open this up, let's see what's inside. So on the right hand side, as usual, you can see follow now on all their social medias, Facebook, X, Instagram and YouTube, and on the left we've got adverts for more of these releases. You can see there's 12-inch 80s 1980, 1981 and 1982 Part 1, and an advert for the most recent 80s yearbook, which is now yearbook 1988. Opening it up then, the discs go for a gradient. You know I love a gradient, so disc 1 is a very bright yellow, disc 2 veers more into orange, disc 3 moves into pink, and disc 4 moves into red. So when you put them all together, you can see that the gradient's nice there, very much mimicking the cover. It would have been nice if the gradient was more pronounced on each disc, so sort of 2 colours on each disc rather than 1 block colour, but as it goes, it's not too bad. I still kind of like it. So in terms of the package then, I think always you're getting value for money with it being a 12-inch 80s release, because you're getting mixes of tracks that seldom get released ever. You know, sometimes they appear on the deluxe edition of an artist's album, particularly if it's re-released on CD or something like that. But a lot of these times, these remixes, these 12-inch edits, whatever you want to call them, they only ever seem to exist on the original vinyl release from back in 1982, and they seldom come up. Yes, sometimes they're on streaming, you can probably find them on YouTube or somewhere like that, but to own them on a compilation like this on a CD that is dedicated to the 12-inch single format, I always think that's worth your money, no matter what year, really. But as always, you've got to make sure this is your thing. If you look at 1982, what was popular, do you like that sort of stuff? That's really what you're going in for. It retails for about $10.99 at most places, or £11. I got mine from HMV, as I always do. That's where I'd recommend getting them, because some people I've seen when they get it with Amazon, sometimes they have issues either in deliveries or they get damaged. HMV, touch wood, has always been very reliable for me. I've never ever had an issue with them. In terms of the set itself, 1982 isn't one of my favourite years for 12-inch remixes. I'm more of the mid to late 80s when it comes to that sort of stuff, when it really gets into like the house scene and the more like heavy dance stuff, if you want to call it that, for want of a better term. Not that I think the early 80s doesn't have a lot to offer in the 12-inch realm. It does, as you can see. I mean, there's great remixes here and additions from Spandau Ballet, Duran Duran, UB40, like some really strong tunes getting their full glory played out here, and I'm so glad for that. But is it going to be my favourite release of this series? Probably not by the time we reach the end of the decade, but still glad that this is continuing, and we know it's going to continue on, because at the bottom of the blurb on the Now website, basically saying keep an eye out, 1983 is coming. Will it be another two-parter like this one? We'll just have to wait and see. But that is all for this installment of the Now Review. Thank you very much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed it, please leave a like on the video. It really does help us out. And subscribe to us here as well. We would love to have you aboard here with us. And let me know in the comments, are you going to be picking up this release, or is it one you're going to pass on? Let me know why. All of that down in the comments. In the meantime, I've been Adam Martin from AMTV Now. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time for another spin on the turntable.